iFanboy's coverage of the New York Comic Con is brought to you by Seagate, the storage of choice for creative professionals.
All right, I'm here with Kieron Gillen in the rare solo interview.
Yep.
Where's your other half?
He's actually tied to a drawing board. Jamie was very ill, actually, for 2 weeks, and he is actually drawing Young Avengers.
We were very sad to see that he couldn't make the show. We miss Jamie, but yeah.
Jamie is actually currently angry with me not responding to an email about what actually posters Billy and Teddy should have on their rooms.
Oh.
So that's the kind of if we get a delay on an issue, it's because of interior decor.
There you go. Well, speaking of Jamie, it was as part of the whole Marvel Now. Recently, was announced you guys are doing Young Avengers, which also features a character near and dear to your heart with Kid Loki.
They're all near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, but come on.
Yes.
I just thought that was the one thing with Marvel Now. Journey into Mystery is ending. I knew how much you loved doing that book, and so I was kind of worried. But
it's totally. It's one of these things where it is a very different book. It's like there's no enormous captions. You're like that. It's a bit more terse. I'm trying to use different parts of the toolbox. That really is about that. So what do I do? So Kid Loki is basically the kind of the instigator in a real way. He's this is kind of a thing. As in, I'm not doing the continuity heavy approach that Heinlein did. I would do more riffs on the idea. If you deleted every classic Avengers story apart from the title, and then took it in a completely different direction. Yeah. So it's kind of like Loki puts the Avengers together as the first arc. So Loki is basically manipulating all the young Avengers to come back together again, and that's the inciting. It's not the inciting sin, but that's one of the things going on there. Yeah. And the other main plot is kind of an Ultron plot, but you would never know that unless I actually told you. And it doesn't involve Ultron. I'm saying, this is me riffing up all new characters, etc., etc. Loki's a prime mover. He's what's the word? In fact, he's embedded outside of this is much more of a superhero book or a superhero youth book. So it's embedded outside the fantasy narrative. It's quite different. On the other hand, the first time you see him, he's actually in a diner doing sausage magic. So not everything has changed.
Yeah. Well, so I'm reading some of the interviews, and when the announcement said, you said, this is probably one of the more personal books you brought to Marvel. You working with Jamie, you guys are working very closely as you normally did with PHONOGRAM, and this is going to be like your last word on teenagers.
No one is allowed to be aged between 11 and 20 anymore. Or is it 30? No, they're done. That's basically you've got to skip the teens. Straight into being old. Yes, basically. I mean, they're kind of like I became aware of Marvel. I've done I think more than any writer who's sort of been in my position. I've done a shitload of crossovers, and all my books, even the books which aren't crossing over, are kind of like Uncanny X-Men was building towards that. Generation Hope was building towards that. 3/4 of Journey into Mystery were crossovers. And I wanted to do something completely different to that. I wanted to do something bespoke. And I was aware that, as beautiful as I'm proud of all my work, none of them mean Daredevil in terms of basically having an aesthetic coherence. So I was like, if I'm going to do this book, I want to essentially choose all the parts. I want Jamie on art, I want Mike Norton doing the sort of backdrop thing they're doing. I want Wilson on colours. I want Clayton, who's actually the letterer on Journey to Mystery on letters. It's kind of, I want to basically, it's like
your dream team.
Yeah, it's basically this. And we're going to do it. We're going to do a book our style, and we're going to go for it. We're going to try to genuinely reinvent the superhero book in our own image. And it's one of those things. I'm saying that, and I'm sort of smiling because I can't quite keep a straight face. But anyway, we're going for it. I'm like.
And the cover's got that very pop sensibility. You get Brian Lee O'Malley to do a variant. I mean,
that was great. I mean, that just came about because Jamie showed Brian the Miss America design, and Brian went, "That's cool." And then they got the why don't we'll do a cover? And it's not something Brian's done. Brian was up for it. Marvel was up for it, and it's like, it speaks to the sensibility of the book. That this is definitely one that's unlike anything else being published. Because it's a very optimistic book. Journey to Mystery, beneath everything, was a pessimistic book. It's a kind of it's bubbling beneath all the humour. Journey to Mystery, Young Avengers, as bad as things get, this is a book about people who genuinely believe they can change the world, and they should change the world. And the first arc is kind of mainly about Wiccan trying to realise that, because Wiccan definitely, when you meet him, isn't in that position.
Well, no, I mean, it's interesting because Young Avengers, for so long, we were told Young Avengers were only for Alan Heinberg. He was the only one that could do the concept. Now that looks like that's over, and you're the first guy with the keys, basically. Yeah. I
really hope Alan doesn't. I've never spoke to Alan, so I hope he doesn't what have you done to Wiccan? But
well, you're making them straight, right? Yes. And you're gonna, you're losing the magic now.
That is true. Oh God, I made that up. I'd say the weird thing, of course, that's one of the weird things with the book, the fact that we're writing the premier gay couple in comics, I think. Yeah. And that's difficult, right? I mean, they're almost untouchable, aren't they? Yeah. And I think I'm meaner than Alan. So there's anyone used to Jim should expect the kind of emotional grinder. But beneath it, it's still the this is one of the most amazing transformative moments in our life.
Yeah.
The sort of the one line I tend to use, and this is kind of my way to start thinking about the book. The Young Avengers up to this point is really about me being 16. It's very much a book about being 16. This is a book about being 18, and that is that speaks, I think, to everything. Yeah.
Cool, awesome.
No, I'm so excited by it. It's one of the things that I think in the first 8 pages people either get it or get off.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that I'm fine with people basically judging the book from the opening 8 pages. Yeah, it's
Awesome.
fun.
Very cool. I'm looking forward to it. In addition to that, you taking the reins now from Matt Fraction on Iron Man. A little bit of pressure there, or?
Oh yeah. I'm taking over from one of the most critically acclaimed Iron Man runs of all time. No, that's not any pressure whatsoever. Yeah, it's a weird one. And especially the one thing that almost stopped me actually taking the job was that it's me and Matt again. You know, it's me following Matt and Uncanny. We had the relationship on 4. You know, and it's like, not again.
Right.
You know, yeah, the way Matt did a definitive take on the corporate superhero, and he really did that. He explored that thoroughly. I would be lunatic to even go anywhere near that. I'm basically very much getting the suit. I'm interested in the. I'm kind of like I'm teasing out that plot thread from AVX, and the idea, you know, he genuinely questioned his belief system, and that's where we start. This is him basically. As the preview I think they put out, this is 2+2 kind of fundamentals. Why? What's really going on? And that's kind of the driving thing. I use the symbology of a Grail Knight. And so I mean, Tony is a knight. Tony's an adventurer. Tony's who is meeting the universe on its own terms and trying to take away something. And I kind of reuse, like the first 5 issues, it's driven by a large plot, which basically extremists is in the wild, people using extremists for stuff, Tony has to stop them. But there's another plot is what actually is Tony doing, and the other and also when Tony meets all these individual bad guys, they're actually speaking to him. You know, what people they choose to do with extremists, it says something about Tony, and then that makes him go, and he's got that little thing ticking in the back of his head. And the other thing is women. I mean, I think Tony's relationship with women I'm very interested in, so I'm. You know, gender and identity and, you know, transfeminism is one of the big themes of a lot of my books. And Tony Stark's a really good character to do that kind of stuff.
Nice, cool. And so now, you know, we hear all these stories about how great Marvel is working with Marvel Studios and the movies and how it's hands-off, they do stuff. But Iron Man's like the crown jewel of the movies. Have they had any sort of involvement? Or are they keeping an eye on what you're doing with the next movie coming out? And
I know the toy department are very happy with me.
Well, yeah, new costume, right?
That's probably the most commercial idea I've ever had. As I know, not even not just a new costume, a new costume on each of the 5 issues. Yeah. You know, and the problem is like there's elements like I always go to Thunderbirds, and part of it, which is, you know, the puppet show, which is probably much bigger in the UK. Yeah. But the toys are part of the joy, and the costume is the thing. And I quite like the specificity, and that what's made Iron Man different from Superman. It's not like a suit that lets him be Superman. Right. It's just basically, fundamentally, it's the physicality of the Iron Man suit, or the doll dress up almost, and I've totally embraced that. I'm trying to say, no, they haven't really stepped on my toes in that way. But it's interesting. I tell you what, it's so interesting doing these interviews. I'm aware that essentially the big hook I haven't talked about, so I'm sort of talking around stuff, but basically all the kind of subplot builds towards a complete status quo change in issue 6. Okay. Things completely blow up. And so the first 5 issues are kind of like a prologue, so that's why, you know, it's interesting. But it's high velocity and very interesting, cool. I think.
Excellent. So in addition to your Marvel work, you announced a new creator-owned series at Image this weekend with Ryan Kelly. Yes. It was called 3, I believe.
3,
yeah.
Yes.
What can you tell us about 3?
3, basically the origin story of 3 is me coming home drinking from one of the London drinks, and I crash out on the sofa, and as I regularly do, I sort of grab a hardback book, you know, from the shelf.
When you don't lock yourself out of your house.
Yeah, when I don't lock myself house, you know, when I decide I'm going to skip crying and masturbating this evening, instead I will actually get out a hardback book, and I'll just flick. In this case, it was 300. I just started flicking through, and I had one of those big long speeches about we'll fight and die for the only free men the world have ever known. And I don't, fuck off, you people hunted your slaves, you people ran terror squads, you people, don't even, you know, and all the, you know, because I know Sparta, you know, I know Sparta much more now, but I knew enough then. And then the whole thing dropped in my head as a story basically about the Helots, who were basically the slave class. It was 3 Helots on the run, and they send the 300 after them. And that builds towards, I knew the climax, I knew, frankly, the twist, I knew everything. At least the structure. And everything since then has basically been plugging stuff into the structure, as in who the free slaves are. Even knew kind of who the free slaves represented as well. So yeah, it's basically me trying to do something as the myth of Thermopylae, 300 facing a million, that's an amazing story. And I want to try to do a story about people who never got that kind of story about them. This is these are the people who were barely mentioned in the histories. It's really hard to research the Helots because they're not really talked about. Right. So I've had to go read deep in academia. I've basically got the Professor Stephen Hodgkins from the University of Nottingham. He's like the history consultant on it. So I take it quite seriously, but at the same time it's a complete balls to the ground action story. It's very different for me. It's very Spartan, laconic. There's only one character who's typically mouthy. Yeah. The rest of them are kind of like not, I would think, traditional Kieron Gillen characters. And it's great. It feels both controversial and political and very important right now. Cool.
So now now why teaming up with Ryan Kelly, who we know he did great work on Local, Brian Wood, and doing Saucer Country over at Vertigo. How'd you get teamed up with him?
Well, basically a mutual friend. I've always loved Ryan. Ryan's is someone I've had a crush on his art ever since I first saw it. And I think, was it Local? It might have been Local. And we basically met up for dinner. A mutual friend got us together in that kind of, I would like you to work together sort of way. Yeah. And we just had dinner. And this is like New York.
Kind of like a setup. It was
totally a setup date. And we worked and we heard off. And it's one of those things that, it was at New York Comic Con, I think 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago.
Wow.
It might
go with 3.
Very good. I'll go with 3, symbolic.
Yeah.
Always 3 with 3, I won't say that. But, yes, so basically just hit it off, and he was a perfect guy. For me, it was a case like, he's done such great work before, but he always seemed to be, I think he'll hit a project and be incandescent, and everyone will realise, fucking hell, this is one of the most serious and interesting storytellers currently working, and I'm kind of hoping I get to be with him when that happens, and because it feels like this is a very ballsy, different project for both of us, frankly. So yeah, that's and he's great.
Yeah, awesome.
He's over there. Go buy his stuff, everyone.
Yeah, he's great. He is great. So and then you've got another lingering project at Image, right? Something about music or something.
Music is magic or something. Phonogram. Yes, basically. There was problems with the schedule. Is the easiest way of putting it. Life fucking us. That would be another different way of putting it.
Yeah. Those Young Avengers need to get written and drawn, right?
That's the problem. Is if you actually do the maths, we were going to release in November. So we would have had to have drawn 3 or 4 issues by now.
Right.
I mean, so basically, Young Avengers isn't the problem. The problem is actually the last 6 months.
Right.
Young Avengers is why it's not getting drawn quicker now. Yeah. But Jamie was never just going to do one book. So the fact that basically the last 6 months are almost a write-off, to be honest, has meant that it had to be delayed. Which is, it's one of the things that really, because yes, we're very aware that everyone's just going to say what you said because that's what it fucking looks like. Right. But
that's the thing. I mean, I think the general gist is like everyone wants it. Yeah. So if it's going to take time, it takes time.
That's exactly it. And it's kind of like I'm just glad it's still coming out. You know what I mean? There's elements of Phonogram. It's like, is this actually going to happen?
Well, we haven't talked since the announcement. It was at Image Expo back in February, and now you told me Phonogram's done. We're never going to see another one. You wrote a blog post. Phonogram's done.
People ask, how can you write Loki the way you do? Well, now you know. Well, now you know.
So you're a liar.
Yes, basically.
So have you started writing? I mean,
it's all written.
Yeah, it's all done.
Yeah. As in, like, it's 6 issues. Not actually final draft, but with Phonogram, it's never final draft until Jamie literally tears it from my hand. Yeah. But all 6 issues are written. It's very much in the state now. If I died, Jamie could actually finish the story. So that's good because I'm very unhealthy.
Jesus, well, we don't want you to. My God, Kieron, we need you.
It's okay. Phonogram 3 will happen. It's okay. Whether I live or die, it will walk on without me.
Excellent. All right, well, you're very busy. It sounds like it's great to see you doing. I mean, I'm excited for Young Avengers and Iron Man and 3. So when is 3 going to hit?
Probably next summer. We don't want to announce it yet. This is very much like the Phonogram issue. I don't want to announce it until we're sure. But probably next summer.
Yeah, excellent. Cool.
Yes.
Right. Well, thanks, Kieron. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to be here.
And we didn't get any awkwardness. You see, Jamie's the missing piece.
No, it's true. I'm just basically trying to show off in front of Jamie. It's like trying to pull his pigtails because I have a crush on him or something. Right. He's my biggest sweetheart in the whole wide world.
And then it got awkward.
Unseen.
Nice bulbs there, Ron.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're talking about my Seagate GoFlex satellite hard drive.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, we want to thank Seagate for sponsoring all of our New York Comic Con coverage. And with this little hard drive, you can store up to 300 movies, music, audio files, books, all your media needs, all stored in this external hard drive.
You got 500 gigabytes. Just stream it right to your devices.
It's got Wi-Fi in it. It can stream to your iPad, your Android tablet, to whatever Wi-Fi device you might have. Great for on the go, for road trips.
You just download a free app onto your device, and you put your thing in there, and you just stream it right to it. You don't need to worry about anything.
Great battery life. It stays around. It's great. Like I said, great for road trips. I was here at the con. I just sat down and watched a movie. That's all I did.
Yeah, and you can keep it in your pocket, just like Ron had it there. Not very cumbersome. It's a 500 gigabyte hard drive that's not giant.
Exactly. And best of yet, iFanboy watchers can go get 10% off by going to Seagate.com/iFanboy. Pick up a Seagate GoFlex hard drive satellite for yourself.
Now put it back in your pocket.
I will. I'm gonna get out of here.
All right.